Hello, careful what you say, everybody, we're recording. Okay. That is 7 o'clock, no reason not to get started with the meeting of the Design Review Board and Historic Preservation Commission of the Village of New Paltz. This is our meeting of June 9th, 2025, and we are starting right on the dot of 7 p.m. Before we even get to the approval of minutes, I wanted to, because it's on the top of the meeting, thank George and Camilla for surveying or looking at options for Village Hall's roof. So they looked at some shingle samples on behalf of the DRB. Yes. And they agreed, and it was just, it's great.
And it was nice that they reached out to us.
Yeah, I think that
That
is
was great.
shows all the right instincts.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for taking the time to.
Yes, our pleasure.
And we will recap the art show down in the last section, but I also just wanted to say at the top of the meeting, what a great art show again, Camilla.
Thank you.
And when I said publicly that it's really your genius, I mean it. Like you brought this thing out of nothing, and it's now become kind of an institution.
And now I can start.
And now it's right.
That's it.
But it's really something beautiful for the community, the artistic, sub-community, and it really looks forward to it. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, so approval of the minutes. I apologize, they were a little late, just kind of growing pains and two busy schedules in the last couple of days. But did anybody see anything that looked erroneous or stuff like that?
No.
Okay, we can. Thank you very much, Sarah, for it's not an easy thing to pull minutes together. So if everybody agrees, is there a motion to approve? Okay, so moved by Shane, seconded by Camilla. All those in favor? Minutes approved. That's wonderful. Before we get into our agenda, I wanted to welcome our students. Do you have any questions before we kind of get into our actual business? Do you have any questions about what we do or what the purpose of these two committees is?
I would say, how frequent is the overlap between like you guys on different groups?
Across the village? Well, we meet monthly. The planning board meets twice monthly. The village trustees meet twice monthly. And I think the zoning board of appeals meets only when there's business. I'm not positive. I think nominally once a month, but they sometimes don't. So in terms of overlapping, like everybody's got their schedule. You'll see in tonight's meeting that we sometimes answer the requests of the planning board. So there's a coordination that occurs. And actually one of the requests more came from HPC 2506, really came from the village board, came from the planning board, but the ultimate client, if you want, is the village board, which is an unusual situation, but makes sense given the situation. Yeah, and each of us has a different membership. There's no overlap of human beings. So I didn't hear that Bill wasn't coming. I don't think I have any general report that might substitute for anything that he would say. Obviously, we want to keep our eye on what's going on with the consolidation discussion. And I'm sure he would have had something to tell us there. But I can't think of anything that we fit under that. DRB 2504, that's the project on North Chestnut. I thought it's on the agenda because I assumed from the last meeting that they would have those detailed drawings to us for this meeting, and we got to Thursday or so and hadn't heard from them, so we reached out. Sarah reached out to say, do you want to be on this agenda? And they said no. So that was a surprise, but also gives us a little breathing room for tonight, because it's looking like a really full agenda Hello, Sam. Welcome. Good evening. Oh, hi. So we can just make a note that we're deferring that. Yeah, 14.
Okay.
Sam, why don't you come up to the table? And,
This isn't outside,
okay,
maybe he has to be in at 7:10.
well, we're weirdly a little ahead of schedule. Take your time. We can do some other business. Why don't we, while they're getting set up or coming in, let me just say really briefly down in the updates and discussions. Railroad siding project, we did get the survey.
Okay.
I still don't really know what the survey is telling us about the land forms, but as I have more to report, I will. That's basically all I have right now. Looks to me at 1:30 here did sell. Question at the last meeting. And so one of the things that we try to do is reach out to the owners, let them know, hello, come back here.
Hi, hello. Good, how you doing? Okay, I see you.
So that's, yeah, please be comfortable. I'm just gonna run through a couple of quick things and relax, get set up. 62 on Street, that is looking really nice. The roof is on that. Everything is done spec, and I'm sure it's going to be just as good as the design promised. 153 exterior maintenance. I cannot remember what that is. Is there any recollection on 153 here? I don't remember what that update is.
I don't remember which one that was either.
We can update next month.
Okay.
Exterior maintenance sounds like it's like for like. And I cannot remember. But we can put a pause on that. Anthony and Sam, welcome. So we're going to, everybody, start talking about DRB 2507, number 7 Prospect Street. The context here is Sam and Anthony have already been to the planning board. There have been a couple of iterations. There was a stop work order at one point a couple of months ago, and they are back on track with some designs to answer some of the objections of the planning board. I had 2 site visits with Sam, one with Sam and Anthony, one with Sam and Rich Soda from the planning board. And so I'm quite familiar with what the issues are and what the planning board was looking for from us, which is basically aesthetic considerations. Would you like to just orient everybody to the project?
So originally it was 2 projects, 5 prospects and 7 prospects. And as it turned out, when the new structure at 7 prospect was placed, it was placed less than 12.5 feet from the property line. So we went through a new survey and we were going to do a lot line revision. And then the village came up with its own amendment, we call it a lot line improvement. So we filed that. And this is what happened. We just basically put a jog in the existing line that runs from Prospect down to that big empty field on the bottom. So that solved one problem. And as a result, it might have solved another in that this lot is now bigger. And so the impervious area as a percentage is less. So it's under 30% now. The board asked me to go out and survey it and put contours on it, so I did. They haven't seen this yet. I just printed this out on the way over. This is basically the same thing without the contours. This is where it is. So you roll back this by unit, right?
Yeah.
So that's what it looked like as part of the stop work order.
Eric, could you project, that's going to be like maybe page 5 or 6 of this document. It's the same thing that we're seeing in the paper.
What was the nature of the stop or work order? Exactly.
I don't know.
It's because of the
because of the setback?
The setback
Okay.
and also for the buildings not being parallel next to each other. And created that area in the middle, which is they need something to be done, where is that?
Yeah, and that's.
Where's the entrance to the basement? So that's the area where we're gonna be enclosing. And Tom helped us out, the design, which way to do it.
At least some ideas. I mean,
The ideas,
what
and that's
we're-
what they think can do.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, this,
Finally shrink, that's perfect. So,
Yeah.
you know, whichever's easiest. to
Well,
look
that's a
at.
snapshot in time, it's several months ago. There are more pictures now.
yeah,
Uh,
So if,
originally, as it was approved, at the last minute, the board shoved the new addition forward 20 feet. And basically truncated the existing building by that same amount and absorbed the entrance to the basement or the mechanical room. And that wasn't accounted for when they started to build. So the village wasn't happy with that. So we've been going through some iteration, and basically, this one-story section in the middle was supposed to become shorter. Now, as it turns out, this is Nash, the neighbor, who is in number 9 to the north. She has a lot of different things going on. She likes her privacy. She likes having all the big trees there. Her lot is the lowest part of the two properties. Her driveway is in a hole. So at the last meeting, she brought up the fact that, you know, the way we left it as a stop work order is it's messy, and there are little ponds that were just there because it wasn't graded off. But she has moss on the south side of her house. So one of the things we thought we would do for her is just put a little berm in there, like 1.5 feet high, to make sure that any runoff from this project, and it's really not from this project, it's pre-existing. It's really unchanged by this project, but it addresses a neighbor's concern. So we said we would do that.
and you're thinking like 1.5 feet, did you say?
Just, yeah. There's a lot going on, since the town fixed the sewer line and put the curb
but
down
the
here.
new sidewalk also.
They kind of took out the channel that the water used to run out.
Yeah, they put the
into
new
the street.
sidewalk.
They put a dam in. And I know this because I surveyed, my benchmark is the top nut on that fire hydrant in between the two properties. And I surveyed the ground, a year and a half ago. When I was just hired to do the utility plan before we got to this point.
He's talking about this piece of land right here between Allison and between us.
Yeah.
And that's the fire hydrant he's talking about. Sits right there.
So it all basically sheets off from number 7 to number 9.
Yeah.
And what happened over time is part of this project was a barn was removed. There was an old barn here, and the way the ridge was, half of the water went east and half of it went west. Now, all that water goes west, so it's an improvement, but I can see why she's not happy about having mosquito traps next to her home at this time, and we're gonna address that. Things that you can hear from the village planning board, when Justin spoke last time, he said, you know, if I go to the bus station and I look toward that house, I can see this little one-story area, and it looks, you know, to not be in sync with the rest of the construction. I went there and I took that picture, and that's maybe in the fall with the leaves off the trees, but it's not something you can see, and it's something that can be easily hidden. So that, what we were thinking about doing with this one story was running a transverse gable on this side and then continuing it through to the north. But Mrs. Nash doesn't want that. She doesn't want any more light to be taken away from her sight. She doesn't want to be in the dark. And that was an aesthetic fix, you know, and I misspoke last time. I thought that, the architect, Lee Frizzell, drew it. He actually, this was a flat roof at one time. And during the process, to make the town happy, the village happy, they re-roofed it and framed it up as a 2.5 12. To make it look more consistent with what was existing and what was built. The other thing that we were asked to look at, and you have to keep in mind that when you look from the bus station side or from number five is significantly higher than number seven than nine. There's a retaining wall between 5 and 7. So you wouldn't even see some of what I've shown, because if you come back 5 feet, you just see the retaining wall. So you have to go out and look at it. So one of the things we had promised to do was use ground mounted, mini splits, not to have a pipe and run up the side and then in. It's gonna go in and then up inside. And that was something the village asked for, and it's easy to do, so we'll not do it.
And square on the roof on the side.
So there were two things that we were gonna do in plan view. This roof line has a jog in it. It's about 20 inches.
Yeah.
So I left that line
Sarah, could you go down to the photos again?
right where the second,
Photo shows it, the one on the left. something-
Yeah, the one right there,
that little jog. We were gonna just extend the roof out.
to match it.
The village had asked why we wouldn't build the foundation out, but there's no gain. You have to destroy that wall, rewire it, replan it to get a foot. So we're just proposing to extend that roof line. And
So that overhang would be larger than the other one,
Yeah,
Yeah, the
Middle
continuing
line.
line, but it,
continue the line.
and when I did the site visit, just to kind of recap one of the details, so the proposal to create an artificial pitch in that middle section would be very costly, and I think it would kind of make a Frankenstein, honestly. So it seemed to me as well that the simplest, most elegant solution is solve some of it with landscaping and some of it by bringing that eave out. I think it's about a foot or 16 inches, something like that. Pretty insignificant, but at least would give a little sense to that. It would minimize the number of angles and cutouts there. And that struck me as, probably a pretty good solution compared to the
So
other.
that's this little shaded area here. And the other addition is we proposed to square off the bump out on the other side, which was the access to the basement. It was a little doghouse structure. You can see it.
Yeah.
So we're gonna bring that building line out and across. And Tom suggested maybe we use that for bicycle storage and access to the basement, because that's where the water is. So we would square that off, and that's shown here.
and extend the roof to match the outside.
Is that this right here?
Correct.
Terry, would you be able to, on the, the plus and minus for, increasing, if you could plus that and then just focus in on the one on the right there, that's perfect. That's the area that is gonna be visible to the neighbor. She's actually at number 11. Yeah, but next house item. And, there is something a little bit cobbled about that. So when I did the site visits, the discussion was to square that off, make it rational, continue that line that's perpendicular to Prospect, and at least make a little more sense. And that's gonna mean losing that doghouse kind of entryway.
And put in a door.
And then there'd be a door on the west side, correct?
This is national to see it.
That, I think that's important.
Yeah.
So if there's a way down.
Yeah.
She's gonna,
She
and
has the same kind of a contraption on it. It's just a little different.
And we extended the roof also to match the outside roof.
so basically what you'll see on the drawings is that just gets squared off, rationalized. It means losing those two interior windows. Because that's gonna be, I would be framed in, and then that's a kind of dead space where it's not next to the one. But it would allow people to store bikes or skis or shopping baskets or whatever.
Would it be as tall as the existing structure or?
That was the plan, right?
Yeah, the structure will match that, yes.
I see.
So they all look uniform, no in and out.
Sarah, could you go down one row? I think we've got, no, sorry, I thought we did. We don't have a just curious shot of the.
Shane, would you like to see these?
I've printed all these out. It's all the same drawings. from the
Okay.
back.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah.
So we just want to show
If you look at the east elevation, that look,
looking. Looking back,
Okay.
it's maybe not where it belongs, but it would end up right in the middle of that post.
actually, Sarah, that would be perfect.
Is it gonna be moved over more?
Yeah.
So.
So would it be directly underneath this window?
Window.
Yeah.
They were. So that
That would
was.
look like, if I put it down.
No, directly under the window would look.
I'm sorry, I think this is the wrong elevation. Actually, that's useful.
So if you go back in time, number 7 had yellow ugly aluminum siding on it, like
Right.
8-inch siding. And the village asked us to re-side.
Uniform.
Number 3 has a tan 4-inch siding. Number 5 has a mint green, and then this one has the tan again. They didn't want it to look like a complex, you know. They
They want to
break
break
it up.
up.
So that was done. They took all the siding off. You know, to make everybody happy. And replaced it. So, you know, we could have pictures with siding on, but that's right when you got stopped.
But people have done a site visit, you can kind of see what.
Yeah.
One of the other things, since we're talking about siding, a recommendation I'm gonna make is some of the J channels that hold the siding are white and they just don't look right. And we had a conversation about converting those to match the,
Commercial color.
the siding.
The J channel. yes.
And, you know, it's just, I don't know why it was done, but I don't think it's a good.
You know what's strange, Tom? I went to the inside the house because I have the balance of the siding. There's a whole box of J channels matching the same.
Oh, really?
So why they didn't lose
I don't
them?
know.
It's beyond
I
my,
don't know.
there's a whole box.
But
Daily
that
pieces.
seems, you know, that's a pretty simple.
No, that's easy. That's not, no issue.
So the other thing of concern was the lighting.
Yeah.
And so there's an existing, motion detector light on the existing part of number 7. That's been there. It's got a shield on it. There'll be a doorway light on the addition. There'll probably be a little light over that entry to the basement or just inside. And then you'll have one in the corner or in the back for the parking.
Yeah.
So it's really it. We're trying to minimize that, maximize.
I think that's the right spirit. I mean, light trespass is an unpleasant thing for neighbors.
Yeah.
Do you know, George, if there's an entry to this boxed out section that we're talking about, every entry has to have a light.
Correct.
Since, is there gonna be a stoop? Is there gonna be a roof? over
That's
it?
right here, which they're gonna move this door directly underneath the window.
Yeah, I think that's a good
Yeah.
thing. But does the door have is there any kind of, roof above it? That could have a downward light
Well, you could still put the light above the door,
going down?
going down.
Okay, I mean, I think these are the little things that, you know, if you pay attention to, we're gonna eliminate light trespass to number 11.
So then the question is, do you really want highly efficient fixtures or do you want the old fashioned that have a yellow color to them?
You know, we've been getting into light temperatures on this committee. I mean, probably warmer.
Warm white,
Yeah, it's gonna, you know,
yeah, it's the warm white bulb.
so. I mean, it's gonna be LED, but you can get them warmer.
I think 2700 Kelvin is the warmest LED.
Okay. 2,700. Thanks, Shane.
So on the landscaping, I placed this tree here, but it really takes the place of what's there now. There's a spruce tree. There's a maple, I believe, out in front. Number 5 has some opportunities on it also to place those arbor vitaes up higher, and that's when they're floating on the air. They can go on lot 5, right up above the retaining wall. And they've gained that 3 or 4 feet of height And they would grow right past that roof in a couple of years.
I think that's really good.
So,
One of the things we talked about on Saturday is there's gonna be a little, turnaround. It's not a parking spot per se, but it's a place where people from number 5 might do a feed. And where it was, and Rich raised this, and I think he's right, that, you know, if somebody goes the other way, you've got headlights right into somebody's.
But I think Anthony addressed it already, can you, Joe, just move the picture, please, no, yeah, I put in the trees,
Yeah,
black, and the picture under, please. Just move it. This one, see, he put the trees, and that will block it,
yeah,
so that will solve the issue with that.
that's on 5.
And 5, yeah, will match, all
So
stands.
Mrs. Nash asked me about these trees, the spruces I picked out, and those are bigger. I put them in my house 20 years ago, $100 a piece for 7 foot. I don't know what they are now.
it won't be
$100.
They won't be $100.
And I came to another meeting where they were doing the bank across the way, M&T Bank, and they picked out a really nice tree. And they had a horticulturist there, and he said, no, we really don't want to have a 2.5-inch caliper tree like that. We need to, we've had better experience with them being small and, you know, getting wind firm and
Mhm.
working their way in and buying a big tree and then having it die, so.
Thank you, Anthony. So, you know, I think we haven't really been in this situation before, but the planning board is just kind of out of ideas for how to remedy some of the aesthetics here. And it, I think, boils down to these things. So we've got lighting, got landscaping, the question of the J channel, you've already agreed to. I think that's big. I wanted to have a discussion about that eve line. Sarah, could you go back to that photo page? So if we call that the south eve there on the right, let's have a conversation about whether I think that's a good solution. And then let's focus on the north section that would be built out to mask that. You know, it's kind of a shame that we're being brought in so late. But
Yeah.
that's where we are. And
There was a nice chimney there that provided relief on the outside. You can see the footing, but it was in terrible condition.
Alex told me to remove it. So I think this is what Anthony, this is the picture of
Yeah.
Anthony, what that was done,
yeah,
for to fix that issue there.
so let's just go through those things. Any objections to making the change of J channel a recommendation?
No.
Okay, so that's number 1, J channel is going to be converted to gray. I'm sorry. Tan, sorry.
Actually, to be exact, it's clay.
Clay. I will be exact.
That's what the name of,
Clay, fine.
yeah.
Okay, so I think that'll be a subtle but important improvement. And then what do we all think of the, it's called here left side elevation south? I think the simplest thing is to square off that notch, have the eave hang over, and now we're at least dealing with just 2 eaves, 2 eve profiles, and landscaping can kind of mitigate what's going on with that notch. Because that line, I hope everybody saw this, that line is continuous on the left.
When you do that though, when you extend the eave on the left side, when it meets the other house, the green part, is it gonna stick beyond the corner?
It is.
Yeah.
So I think that might look strange.
Yeah.
Too, unfortunately, you know, I think having it tucked, because right now. It's kind of hard to tell, but it doesn't stick proud of the outside corner of the
No,
house.
if so, it's maybe just a little, do all of you remember if that eve is proud of the, but also the green hasn't been sided.
Yeah, that's true, so it'll be,
Walls are flush.
Walls are flush.
Is that,
oh, the walls are flush. But then,
all
so the
those 2
eave
walls
sticks out.
flush where the eve is set back? Is that flush with the main house, the two-story house?
It's flush with the new addition.
Yeah.
The new addition, that's flush.
The walls are, so no matter what, the eave is gonna stick out.
Yeah,
It's
so
kind of hard to tell in the photo.
Sarah, could you zoom a little bit more? Just if you can zoom in.
You know, Tom, my opinion is, I think the eve is better the way it is. But what I think they should do is have a corner post come all the way down on the two-story section to define that little small section. Not float the siding all the way across,
Oh, like a corner board.
like a corner
Yeah.
board. This way you read the two-story house, and then you read the other one-story section.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, no matter what, they're not gonna harmonize, but at least
Right.
that way it's more defined.
It's more defined.
So
Yeah.
you're, if I'm, George, I can get up and just point to what you're talking, what I think you're talking. So introducing a corner board there.
Nope, on the green,
Oh, here,
straight all the way up 2 stories.
got it.
And then the little small one-story addition butts up to that corner post, and then the siding continues on the green 2-story.
Okay,
So it defines the 2-story building.
But we should, all the other corners of that green, of the larger part should get a corner.
Yeah,
corner too, right, to be consistent. I think that's
So they already have it on.
Yeah, the corners.
You have the full corner going all the way up, is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, the corners and we start on
So-
what's the one.
Yeah.
They have it here, and then where it comes down, here, you just double J it. Right, you double J it and accept the siding there, and you read the corner post.
Let me see the photo? Yeah, that's not great.
That's kind of what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah, so even in this photo, you can tell the eve is proud.
Mhm. Yeah, it is a little problem.
Yeah.
So the sentiment is to leave it rather than extend it?
I feel we should leave it. To my
I'm sure that
opinion.
would be music to Sam's ears, right?
I think we should leave it and then it's the same 1 foot overhang as the rest of the building, not one is 2.5 feet.
Yeah, I kind of agree, because I think no matter what, if the jog on the wall is gonna remain, then it's like, then the eve doesn't harmonize with the wall, so I think like either way.
You know, that's
It's a tough spot.
Downstream.
I wanted to ask about it, yeah.
It'll get hit anyway.
Well, when you put a gutter on that section, the downspout comes down on the corner. A little downspout could tie into the 2-story downspout. You don't have to have a second downspout.
Okay.
It just, you cope it in the side of the main downspout. So then you only have one coming down. Cause there's not a lot of water coming off that little 1-story section.
Yeah. And can you do that jog with the gutter? That's doable.
No, it's gonna be 2 different gutters, 2
Okay.
pieces of gutter, then you'll have a corner,
One's
a leader on the other end.
Okay, got it. So a leader on the Prospect Street side. and
Yes.
Another leader going the two.
The 2-story one coming
Okay.
down, it'll tie it in.
Got it. Is that something? Can we go?
Yeah. I just have a wild idea here. I don't know if it's maybe. a
Let it
bit
rip.
going already, but I was thinking that to avoid, if everything is gonna be the clay siding, it would just look like a big. You wanted to avoid the complex feel as the village was, versing it. Maybe the connector part of the building could have a different siding, maybe something like a shingle, cedar shingle or something. Or a shingle-like material and reuse the beige or tan siding on the new addition. Just to break it up a bit and make it a bit more varied, and then. You know, it would have a feel that the building evolved over time and you had an addition here and then later on you had another addition put on.
See, the whole thing we started with, that's the first point they brought out, they don't want it to look 2 different structures. They want it, like what Tom said, blend as one structure.
But it's very big.
Yeah, it's a big
Yeah.
structure it turned out to be, but that's the main thing, and even they picked the colors for us, what to slide it with.
Really?
Yeah, because they don't want it to look odd and they want it to look two different structures. But if they're okay with it, I'll sign it to the different color.
If I could add,
Yeah.
go back in time long enough, there was a time when there was a connector building between the addition and the one story. And they wanted to have a separate entrance to that, you could either go right into the addition or left into the main house. And when I came out to, stake out the sewer lines, I looked around and I said, where's the connector going? And
Yeah.
they changed it.
They made us move it, yeah, they made us move it, yeah.
So it was actually one of them.
Yeah, I'm 50-50 on that. I don't know. I think it could also make it. I'm wondering if just,
I think it's gonna bring more attention, which I don't think we need any more attention.
Well, if it's dark, if you receive and blending with the environment, but with these lighter colors, they stand out, yeah, that's why you notice it so much. If it was dark, you wouldn't even see it was dark. I don't know, I just thought.
no, it's an idea.
Yeah, I think conceptually that makes a lot of sense. But I also think like just given the nature of, I guess, the design, if you say that, just like the way that it's two different, houses connected with a third kind of archetype that doesn't match either of the other ones, I feel like, to George's point, maybe just kind of hiding the kind of awkwardness, is probably the way to go. I mean, I think either way, it's a tough thing to negotiate.
Yeah,
So I think maybe just kind of hiding it is the way to go.
I feel like landscaping can be a part of that. Like we're looking at something pretty, it's a building site. There's an opportunity, there's a lot of shale, that wall, I think everybody remembers, is 2.5 to 3 feet. So it kind of gives you an opportunity to get some interesting plantings down there. The problem is you can probably get at most a foot of topsoil and then it's just shale. So that's where clever planting is going to come in, something that doesn't require a lot of depth, stays at roughly a foot, but
How about
that
raised
is
beds?
something that-
You could make it a fine zone,
which ones?
raised beds, like a container planter, or
Yeah.
planter. That's maybe 2 feet high, and then you would just have.
That would, something like that would really soften that up. Yeah. We only can move to
That
that.
might be something you want to do on a farm. And it would double up as a parking lot.
Yeah, but then you have the trees there, and that's what's gonna hide it. It's on 5 and it's not gonna hide all this area is for trees.
That's true, like literally, this angle is only ever going to be seen by residents at 5. Like you don't see it from Prospect. So
And the tree is gonna cover it anyway.
Yeah. I think it could be substantially hidden.
I think
That is
that's,
going along as if I have 2 clients, Sam and Mrs. Nash. He was afraid to let me talk to one of their first, but I think I want to roll them. I said, if there's something I can do to make this nice for everybody, we could spend it, that money doing that rather than going back into the town hall. I actually spoke to her about raising her driveway a few inches to make it.
Mhm. Not interested.
No.
Yes, right. The other thing I think might happen is the leader, that 2-story leader, if in white, probably breaks things up a little bit.
Yes.
I mean, the natural thing would be to do it in white because the eaves are white. I think that could have some effect of differentiating structures. I'm okay leaving it. Shane, is that your vote as well? Just
Yeah.
leaving that?
Yeah,
Well, that's a cost savings right there. Right, you don't have to change anything, so that's good. The raised bed is a really nice idea, get some topsoil, but then build some boxes. You can also buy galvanized totem type things. Get something up there. Speaking of landscaping, I do think that getting some evergreens in at the edge of 5, because it's right about there that people will be pulling their cars in. Ideally, they'd be backing in, but even bright red light in somebody's window,
Absolutely.
you know. So Sam, you agree?
Yeah, we already have them. Anthony already drew them in the picture.
Okay,
They already has them, which is we're planning to do.
or screening, okay. Good,
He's gonna do all the purposes of the lights and hide in the building and
yeah,
all good.
give some privacy.
Privacy.
Okay. Location of the AC units made good sense to me. The plan is to put them,
In the bottom picture, right there in the bottom.
Sarah, could you go, I think it's actually still on that line.
Yeah,
because
this
it's the one that's hidden. So if you scroll, I'm sorry, it's not that one. Maybe it's down. There we go.
Is this picture?
Yeah. So the thinking was, these units are kind of double sized. They're gonna be about, off the ground, probably 45 inches with the stand. Just putting them on either side of that kitchen or bathroom window,
That's a kitchen.
kitchen, so
One on each side.
one on each side. Again, some landscaping to kind of hide them, but it seemed to me that not gonna get any noise that would bother the people in 5. Once landscaping grows in, they're not gonna be particularly visible. That struck me as a pretty good solution. See anything better? And then the lines would be internal.
Internal.
So, you know, they'd only be about that much higher than the units in the wing.
Question. Why are those 2 large windows so low to the ground? Is there any reason for that?
Because the whole property is lower than 5 by about 4 feet.
Yeah,
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the whole property elevation.
Mm,
it slopes,
see.
It's about 28 inches from the first floor of 5 to the
is
first,
that,
excuse
okay,
me, 7 to 7A, we'll call it, 7 addition.
yeah, it's gonna be a kind of a challenge for the people who live in there, because they'll be looking out at ground
But
level.
don't forget, that's a counter height, there's a kitchen, right?
Yeah, that's a kitchen.
So it's-
Oh,
it's
those
better
are-
than
those are-
height inside.
Okay, okay, then that's better than what.
Sam, on the rear elevation west, those 2 lower windows, it looks like they have a white border around them and then the one above doesn't.
We stopped doing the J channels, and as I say, they stopped us in the middle of the job. But
So-
we're gonna remove the white and we're gonna put the clay color
Around the windows.
around the windows.
So were you originally gonna do a window casing? A window casing around the window?
No, they were just.
It was just gonna be a J channel.
J channel.
But I still see it bigger on the lower windows than the one above.
That's all the windows. But some of them, they already.
Are
put
they the
J-
same windows?
They all the
Yeah.
same.
Okay.
So they have the J channel and we stopped, but they were white and now we're gonna change everything to clay to match the siding.
And the J channel was a regular 1 inch and a quarter J?
Yeah.
Or was it a width of 2.5 inch?
No, small.
Casing,
Very
a
small.
small one.
Yeah, very regular. Because the windows came from the factory without the J channel on them, so they were trying to add
Because
them.
what they have, Tom, they have a J channel that's very inexpensive and it comes in white and it'll match the windows, but it's 2.5 inches.
So there's a
So
little
it gives you
profile.
trim around the window. Then they make it in 3.5, which is a casing. It's a little more involved because you have to put a starter strip to hold it. But the other one is a regular J that you nail up, but it gives you a nice detail around the window. And,
That's a really nice idea. Could we see, the existing house, Sarah? The front part of it, the old section? Yeah, it would come close, that seems, that's fine. It would come closer to that profile.
they come closer to that.
And then I think actually white would make sense in that context.
So white J channels around the windows,
Yeah,
It's not a J, it's a 2.5 inch J channel.
you know. If Anthony knows, I'll say, okay.
It's a regular J channel, but it's, the base of it is like 2.5, so it gives you a border.
So it's white.
It gives you a little detail around the window.
yeah, and it'll have the effect, this is a good shot to see it, you know, the existing house has probably by the end of it, 4 to 4.5 inch
Yeah, sorry.
profile, so this will come closer
Yeah.
to that.
But we're still changing the other one to the clay.
Yeah, I think the ones
Okay.
that run, I don't know if we have them.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, there's a shot there, there's a.
Yeah, right there, white,
shade
the white.
under the.
Yeah, on the, if it's needed on the rake and in the gables, then that's gotta match the color of the sign.
Okay, okay.
But just the window casing and the door casing, so if the door doesn't have a brick mold on it, then you could leave the brick mold, because that has that's a little border, then you could put a siding color J there. This way you read the brick mold.
Okay, so on.
Understand? Yeah, around the windows, we could get a little, without, spending any more Sam's money or anything, it's just simple, but you get a little detail.
Yeah.
Well, Anthony been spending it well.
Don't forget, we just saved you on the eaves, so on that one.
Let's hope the planning board accepts
That's
it.
just my
I know,
opinion.
I think that's an excellent.
Okay,
suggestion.
which is easy,
To
that's no
bring those
problem.
windows a
We
little
do,
closer
that's
to
simple.
existing, okay. Lighting, so there's not a lot of wiggle room, you've gotta have a light at every entrance, but if that light can be built into the overhang, that's gonna reduce light pollution.
What? It could be a hanging fixture or it could be a recess, whatever he wants. But that would be nice, it'll light up the stoop and it won't glare
Yeah,
out.
which is goes to, and, yeah,
Yeah, okay, good,
Fit up in the gable.
yeah, that's what we have.
yeah,
Yeah,
Put a block up there, get a little hanging fixture there.
exactly.
one thing much, I mean, there are lots of choices there, and then the one, we're seeing the view here, so you wanna have a light going back to the parking lot, but I
And,
think.
and the corner right there.
Yeah, but let's make sure that that's not facing in any way toward 11, just like,
No, it's gonna be in the parking lot.
Yeah.
It's parking lot.
good.
And then on the basement door, we should, put it above the door.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yes.
Yeah. I was wondering if ground mounted would satisfy that code requirement. Like something on a pillar post, would-
No,
That may-
it won't.
okay, so, no,
You could do both, but you have to have one on the door.
okay. Yeah, so there too, I mean, that's gonna end up being the door closest to the property. Let's make sure that that's also shielded as much as you can.
The one for the basement.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And in any case, that door faces west, not north, so it's gonna be a little less visible. Sarah, could we see the, drawings? I think they're, so another one of, actually, that would be a good one to look at. So that answers the question about the roof line. And George, you were saying get that door in line.
With the window above.
Yeah, okay. Any disagreement there? That seems like a great idea.
And, there's no round head windows there, and maybe you just get 2 or 3 little light
Yeah,
square it off and get rid of the arch. On the window, on the door. They make, if it's, see the way the 2 panels there, they make 2 glass lights.
Yeah,
Square.
I think that's what we have already in the main door. It's too small.
Door has-
yeah,
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 yeah.
We need to get rid of the arch.
okay, yeah, that's good. So no arch, everybody agree on that? It's just
Yeah,
introducing
that's-
the design element.
It's a standard door.
Okay. And then, Sarah, could we see the elevation from the, north? Not that one.
That's south.
There we go.
This one.
So the other thing I wanted to raise, could you shrink it down, please? Just to make sure, and it looks like they're about right, that we're not creating a weird asymmetry with those two new windows in the new section. I'm wondering if they can be brought in,
Yes,
right? Are you following me, Sam?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, they just look like they're a little random here because this is already established. Let's do what we can to make that relate to that. Do you need to?
Distance wise, okay,
Yeah,
between them,
the intervals
yes.
there. Okay. You need two windows in that room?
No, this is for the room, and that one in the new addition we put in, the new corner piece,
That's just for the dead room.
for the dead room. This is the first one on the right, and that one for the
There was a
bedroom.
window behind it on the existing.
Yeah, that's right. That's coming out.
Yeah, that's coming out, all gonna be eliminated.
Framed out.
yeah, Tom, I agree, so that the first one is in the center of that space, and the one to the right just needs to be moved over to the left to be in the center of that space.
Okay, yeah, that's easy, yeah.
Yeah,
So center both of them.
That's, Sam, that's some of the things that we try to help people with is,
yeah,
you know, if you came to us early, like, look at the two-story section. You got nice symmetry there, you did a nice job, but then if you go over to the other side, the windows are kind of scattered all over the place. And, you know, you can make them balance and make the building look nicer without, it's no cost, it's just a matter of having them in the right spots.
I got it. Makes sense, thank you.
so. Line of windows. North elevation.
Well, it's in the center above here, so it's good, center above it, so.
That's also where George's idea with the wider J channels, because you've got the existing, all those windows on the north side that exist, and that's where you're gonna kind of see it all.
Okay.
And if there's a little more profile on the new windows, they're at least gonna look better than.
That's easy, yeah, that's no problem. That's no problem.
You know, we can hold that there to it.
We're a little late on that.
Is there anything else that we should cover? Oh, yes, I did want to, so I think also some landscaping, you've got room to get some landscaping, that will also help protect Allison to the north from people coming and going. It'll also soften the fact that.
Yeah, we do have 9 new trees gonna be planted towards her property and a
Okay.
fence.
Good,
There's a 6-foot fence they need to spot it.
okay,
Do a decision of the lot, yeah.
okay. 6-foot fence.
Yeah, that's already on a site plan,
It's 94 feet of 6-foot fence runs from the parking lot back down
yeah.
that long.
And 9 new trees also on their property, close to their property, not close,
Okay,
to block the view there.
got it, okay. Anything else, anyone?
Sam, did you already purchase the front door?
The front door is already done, but this is not the door.
Oh,
It's totally different. Yeah, we have two small.
Here's a picture of it.
I've got my phone. You need to take a look.
Oh, yeah, the phone. Yeah, we already put a 42-inch door, just in case the appliances all now comes 36, nothing fits, so this is a custom made door, we got it in.
Really, 42 is custom?
Yeah, it's custom, it's not standard,
Okay,
because I tried to purchase one with a mirror and they stopped making them, and if they make them, they don't open.
I thought I had a picture of that, but I guess I didn't. Okay, I want to, draw everybody's attention, so are we, good with our discussion?
Yes.
I just want to make sure that we have in our record, we did receive a letter from Allison Nash addressed to us. She, as you know, is not happy about the project. A lot of what she objects to, I'm afraid, is outside our purview, but it has to do with single family or two family homes being converted to rental by the room. I think we have addressed the what she calls nuisance factors for her house with the fence and with the landscaping. And I think the lighting is really important to get right so that you're not converting that. And, you know, I think the rest is for us to advocate with the village. I mean, a lot of it is what code permits. Obviously, the building is permitted. But that's not something we can answer in this committee. She does point out that conversions like this irrevocably change the historic character of neighborhoods, and there's definitely a point to that. Yeah. So let's make sure, Sarah, that that's noted as part of our discussion. I have 10 notes, if I could just go through them so that we're clear on what's agreed to. So J channels, when it's not involving a door or window, J channels are going to be clay.
Yep.
When the J channels involve windows and doors, it's going to be a 2.5-inch white J channel to give more profile around those windows. We agreed to retain the notch on the south just as it is, so no change to the eaves. George suggested, I think we agreed, that guttering all 2 stories, tying in that second story to that gutter system. I think the white. is
Yes,
probably
standard
agreeable.
white.
Standard white is
Yep.
gonna break that up a little bit. Then we have landscaping, possible raised beds where that shale bed is. And if not raised beds, then something that's gonna not require deep root structure and get something planted in there. Evergreens on number 5 to create screening.
Yep.
Everybody's okay with the placement of the AC units?
Yes.
Okay, AC units are good. It's important to line up the new door on the addition, the window up above.
Yep.
And no arched window on that door.
Yep.
So just like probably a 3 glass, 3 light, window. Line up the windows. This is a big important thing. Line up the windows on the north elevation so that it's not asymmetrical.
Yep.
6-foot fence and 9 new trees
Yes, that's what it
along
is.
the property lines. And I noticed today that some topsoil.
Yeah, we'll start bringing down to fill that hole in.
Yeah, good.
And also the planning board, about the gables, which is,
Yeah,
if you leave a note, even Rich mentioned it, they said you guys do not suggest it and do not.
no
support it.
change to gables, right? Is that agreed, everybody?
Yes.
Yeah, I just think it, yeah, it would introduce the really weird.
Tom, I want to be clear that around the doors, most of the doors come with a brick mold. So around the doors, you're gonna want clay colored J channel,
Okay,
because you're gonna want to read the brick mold.
okay, yeah.
So you're talking about the basement door and the main door.
All the doors,
Yeah,
they
they
come-
just do
they
those.
most likely come with a brick mold, then you put clay J channel on
Okay.
those points.
Yeah, so really J channels.
It's the landscape or something to weed whack.
Yeah.
Okay, so Sam, I'll need a couple of days to write this memo, you take some work. But you'll get a copy, Anthony, I've got your
Thank
email,
you very
so
much.
that'll be coming, and then when you go to the planning board,
Next Tuesday.
it'll definitely, but before then,
Next Tuesday.
you'll have it before. then.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thanks for your time.
thank you. Thank you.
You guys- Thank you very much.
Okay. Have a good evening.
Do you need it tonight for yourself?
No. I don't need, I don't know.
Did you, do you want anything? I don't. Do you want to? I think the digital is just easier.
Yeah, Mike doesn't like paper anymore. He said, everything is digital, even the application. That's what they think.
Good, thanks.
Thank you very much, Tom. Thanks for
Thanks.
helping us. Thank you, John.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Thanks, great.
Thank you.
Take care.
See you. Yeah, thanks.
So, Sarah, can we just see the elevations of them? On the, put that, sorry.
A bit more than.
Keep going.
Yes. And just- Right. You see,
Ooh, yeah. Didn't see that.
Which one is that window? Now I see it off to the side,
Yeah.
but that's already framed in.
It's framed in. There has to be some internal reason for that, because it wouldn't. No, I can put it into the memo, but we really didn't discuss it in your presence, so.
it's just.
So maybe we could, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I didn't see it before. I thought it lined up.
We were really focused on the first level. Symmetrical windows on south elevation. I'll make a note, and I think.
That's the one over the two.
Yeah, and I'll just say we didn't see it until
Yeah.
we're recommending it.
Perfect.
Thanks. Just totally didn't see it. You didn't see it
that.
on two,
On
on
the
two site
plan, it looks
visits,
like it was directly over it.
2 site visits, and didn't see. Let's press on. Let's defer, the DRB business, until later in the meeting, because Dave Toder's here on time to talk about 5 Broadhead Avenue. Dave, come on up. Good to see you. It's been a long time. Welcome to the August company. So context here, the village still owns the building, and by virtue of that fact, they've requested that we do not schedule a public hearing because village property is exempted from any kind of review. But they would like us to have a discussion, review it, and comment back. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, but it sort of surprised me to encourage public hearing. We can push back on that if it feels we should, but let's talk about the design. Dave's been with the project from the very inception, right?
Yeah, I found out about it. He said,
And we
do you have an architect? And I volunteered.
It's so nicely.
And the design came together really quickly. You know, good input.
That's great. Because they kind of knew from the beginning what they wanted. Maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, some of it is kind of an open program on the first floor,
Yeah.
so that it can have the community aspect of it and, you know, kitchen and such, and then the museum aspect of it, I guess. You know, I'm not certain exactly what Joe has for artifacts.
Yeah,
But we'll, you know, support the program.
Yeah.
It will be pretty energy efficient, you know, with the gut renovation.
Yeah.
At the end of the shop.
I think the last time we saw each other, we were walking through it, and it was like a minefield. It was rough.
Yeah, it's cleaned up pretty well on the inside. But yeah, it'll clean up even better. Yes, so we are doing a couple of things which, you know, are historically significant for discussion. For example, the attic window, it's rectangular. We're intending to make it 5-sided because that was a typical detail of the builder.
Yeah.
And the adjacent house has it, but this one doesn't. And so the response to this kind of, you know, tapering would be that there'd be some kind of truth, you know, reveal, either the existing, you know, drawings current existing drawings or something, to make clear that this was done, but intending it for a teaching, purpose.
Love it.
So that was, like, does that seem like something you?
I love it, and I think, you know, because it ties into a teaching point, and there are several extant buildings in the community that have that signature detail. So, yeah.
Okay, and the other thing that's similar to that, so the front porch has like an 8-inch step up into the first floor. And so we're of course going for handicap accessibility. And it happens that the porch posts are kind of rotten on the bottom, but the rest of the structure is fine. So effectively, we'll cut them short or possibly take them down and, you know, do it aesthetically, top and bottom. But basically shorten them slightly and build a new deck. And the deck's going to be extended around. And then we're also extending the roof structure around. And so that's again, one of these things where we're, and also the addition that's going on is intended to look like part of it, as opposed to something that's, you know, a black box or something that's clearly showing that it's not. And again, we think this looks like a more aesthetic whole, and then we address or any artifice with, you know, documentation that it is.
Can we see the elevations up there, please? Thank you.
Got the existing and proposed of the same page. So
Yeah, that's,
zoom in, out a little bit.
you said it's an 8-inch difference between the current porch level and what you're proposing.
I believe so. If you scroll down and look at the top of scroll up. I'm speaking clearly, to the existing front elevation there, you can kind of see the dashed line at the existing south elevation below the door.
Yeah,
It might be less than 8 inches. It's
but it's a
yeah,
full step.
it's certainly more than 1 inch.
Yeah.
Which is about as much as we're going for rough level, with a slight pitch to it. And then there's that existing like side porch, which is really shot,
Yeah.
and hazardous. So, that's gonna be torn down and then it'll be enlarged and made a 2-story, piece there.
That's great. Got that.
And so we're intending to do, new windows because they're the. We'd like to get energy efficiency for, in the museum collections. And so we'll certainly have the 2 over 2, but, we'd like to have something that's, actually, we haven't spoken of exactly what, we're doing for windows because some is advisory and some is specifications.
Shane's gonna weigh in.
Good,
No,
that's fine.
this board has learned a lot thanks to Shane about window design, but please go ahead.
Right, I mean, there's certainly options to do interior storms or similar. I believe we're keeping the siding roof. We'll do repairs. And I believe that the grants that were sought and received for the project are not ones that require additional adherence to historic accuracy. So I think that's a level playing field, and then, let's talk about what's most appropriate.
Yeah, well, I guess, we've been working on a document for a while now, like a window guideline document, but effectively, like, one of the most important things is, that we've discussed is having simulated divided lights, not having the in between the glass, muntins. Although, I know it's more expensive to have the SDLs or.
Oh, absolutely, SDL.
Okay.
Yeah, so, okay, great, so that's, yeah, great.
Oh, yeah, that's very important, I agree.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, those, they still look like modern windows, but they certainly look like a much better version.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, that's basically it, and then I guess, if whatever window manufacturer you go with, if they have an option to match the existing month-in profile and size, mean, this is all something I'm sure you've considered, but that's basically it.
And Dave, we're here at every step. I mean,
Do you have color select suggestions?
Noah's been so helpful in the community.
These the renderings are just kind of done
Yeah.
white, but that's mostly as a tabula rasa, and so you can see the building elements, but not as a predictive, white's kind of bland.
I mean, I think we could pledge to help when you get to that point.
That's great, because, and we'll make sure when we're specifying windows, we include you too, because some of that, if they're doing, let's say, metal with darker colors, that would, start being involved in all the color palette. But it's nice to do some, I don't know, 3-color, at least on like the column
Yeah,
details, that would just be
Yeah.
so fun, some nice lively colors, I'm thinking, but, we haven't been down to that conversation about
Yeah.
picking up a similar page.
Keep in touch about that, maybe we can research some colors that were appropriate at that time.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, just to throw an idea, I mean, I've done, part of my job, we've done like, I know, I don't wanna make this really expensive, but I mean, you can hire a company to do like a historic paint analysis too. I mean, if it's an idea to go back to what was original, then they uncover the original layers of paint. I mean, I don't feel super strongly that has to be the case, but I mean, it's an option and, it might be interesting to find out what the original paint scheme was, but, again, I don't feel super strong that has to be done, but,
No.
Although tearing off that lean-to might give you that information.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
think
true.
we get a consultant. They probably just,
Yeah, like under like the roof ledger.
yeah, somewhere like that would be, So yeah, I made a couple of notes. I think it looks really good. Dave. No surprise knowing you for all these years.
Thank you.
I wondered are the porch columns generic or is that what you actually envisioned?
Oh, I think you're using the actual ones that are there.
Okay, which are chamfered, right? I think. Or
They
are they
look
current?
like they're pretty old, actually. They don't look like anything from. They look like they're pre-40s at least. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know their original posts, but they could be. The roof, I think, is original.
Okay,
The roof structure and the roof, it's all the same metal roofing. So there's a fair chance that is, the original. One of them was down, but,
it can be salvaged?
yeah, I think all the porch posts are
That's
fine.
wonderful.
Yeah, so we did, modify and a little rotted the bases and whatever, but the roof structure is fine as well. It doesn't seem to have any of the porch deck is not a keeper,
Right.
but it's not original. It's nothing to salvage. So we'll do, pressure treat. You can speak to decking because some of that is, certainly the original was not, I don't know, Trex or cedar,
Right.
but that because it's a part of a continuing deck that extends out from beyond and underneath. Again, we hadn't specified materials yet, so it's open. But maybe cedar, that could be something, because that even if it didn't look like the groove, it might, weather and be appropriate for the current usages and boundaries.
You're not considering the technical 1x4?
It would weather, well, we could potentially have it underneath the roof,
Correct.
but the deck does extend out beyond. And so there would probably be a transition somewhere.
Right.
And so I wasn't sure that was actually, we're also gonna have a ramp that's coming up. And so that's, that's not gonna be, the fur. So, again, that's some that we could talk about materials, because it's not written up yet. I haven't done the construction documents, I'm waiting to get through this process and get the advice, so that, we'll go through.
I mean, that's where we could, be another set of eyes when it comes to the, I'm wondering if the ramp might look really nice as a, concrete structure with bluestone topping, if that, I don't know, that might get slippery on an angle, I don't really know. But, that's a possibility I would entertain. Just personally, I have a similar kind of porch, and I finally found a decking that seems to hold up much better than what I was buying. And it's, I can get you the name of it. It was not cheap, but it's like highly treated, but it's not pressure treated. I've got the name of it.
And it's not a plasticized.
No,
It's not artificial, it's a wood.
It's a wood, but it must be impregnated with something that doesn't make it look like standard pressure treated. But it's held up a lot better than what I was buying.
In the past, I have used on older historic homes, 1x4 ton of roof mahogany.
Mhm.
And it looks beautiful, but leave it natural, just seal it. Or, you could paint it also. But it's good to the weather and it's not soft like cedar.
And that you could extend out as well.
No, anything ton of roof, you have to have a roof over it.
Yeah,
But maybe there could be a transition, if not, what Tom's saying,
Yeah,
the masonry. I don't know how it look, where you would transition it to maybe,
yeah,
5x4x6. Board on the ramp
yes,
of the same material,
and the deck that's adjacent to the
ton
roof.
of roof and on the porch, ton of roof and.
Okay, here's a question. Would you have just the tongue and roof for underneath the original porch roof as a sign that that's the original, and then on the new roof that's at the side of the building, that would be like the cedar, #2 cedar decking? I don't,
Yeah, that's
that might be a balance.
I mean, it's another possible teaching point, right?
And you could make it almost like a rug effect, like the cedar would frame the dungeon groove,
Mm.
and that would be a
Yeah, you could signal.
intentional transition.
Yeah. What's the timeline thing for actually constructing a new way? We've got lots of time.
Probably in a sense, there isn't a timeline yet, but so we have, this meeting and the planning board advisory meeting in a week or two. And at some point when those you two advisory boards are satisfied with the stage of the process at that point, the village board, would meet about it.
You would go ahead. Yeah.
I believe so. That's what I understand of this, because I haven't been through a process that looked quite like this, either.
Right.
Yeah, I'm taking notes. This is all, good input and, food for thought. And, I like the idea of, keeping involved as, materials determined, because that's most of it. Right.
No, I think so we have time, and if we're acting in an advisory capacity, we can do this informally.
Right, and so once they're, get through, say, the planning board process as it were, I'll develop construction documents, and some of that'll be the time really, for conversations about material specs. And even the construction documents can, go out with alternatives, and we can narrow those down in the field, because, timeline again allows for, correcting finished materials, because they're just not the first thing that happens.
Question on that west elevation on the porch,
Yes.
you have a drop down girder. Can we see a built up girder? And so you could put a board on the porch. And all the structurals up in the framing.
I'm not sure what you're asking. I mean, I'm mimicking what's on the, original with the design.
Is it a drop down?
Yeah, if you scroll up, I guess, to see the top of the page. And so there, the south elevation, you can see there's a transom over the front door, and it's kind of hidden by the drop beam. And you can see on the side view, the beam wraps around the side.
No, I mean on the framing on the deck.
Oh, sorry. Apologies, I understand. Can you scroll down now, please? Okay, good. want to see the west elevation, please. With 32, yeah,
Yeah, it looks like it's a drop down girder.
yes, it does not have
Which
to be a
could
drop
be
down,
built up,
it could be a flush.
a flush girder, yes.
Okay, yeah,
Sure,
that's good.
A lot of decks are built with drop down girders, but porches, you build them up into the framing.
Yeah,
I see, and part of, I think, because I frequently do that, I was thinking. Well, then I'm gonna see underneath the deck, maybe, I'm not doing lattice, or not the agate lattice, anyway. This could be a way to just, I didn't even think about it, because it's not like pretty space. So that was what I was thinking, is avoiding the lattice and under deck look, because it sticks out, in plan view.
I think that, there could be a better way to address it, but
You do it,
yeah, it's nice to flush that up into the frame.
okay.
sure. And we're not looking at any kind of landscaping that would soften that.
It will,
Yeah.
some bushes there and everything would soften that, sure.
Nobody,
That's an answer. Yep,
okay, I'll make a note.
yeah.
People can get them underneath the building.
Either way they can. Yeah.
There's no way to squeeze it.
There's no way to do that.
Right.
Yeah, so yeah, open flow is probably better,
Yeah.
so they don't have a spot to hide.
It looks great.
Could we look at that south elevation?
Thanks, Sarah.
Everything looks, what a nice job, some balance. And what is that small window on the first floor, on the right side?
That's the handicap bathroom. Right by the ramp.
That window?
Is that right? Wait a second.
No, the window.
What is, no, is that the library? That's the library. Sorry.
This is in the lower right. Shannon.
Yeah,
Yeah, by the ramp, is the library is underneath the first floor. Yeah, sorry, right, that's the library, then the bathroom, so it's on the other corner.
it's the library.
Yes,
Could that be a full double hung window?
it could be. I was,
It would sure balance that whole elevation.
let's see what you're saying.
Mm,
Let's see what you're saying. Does that mean also, yes, the north elevation also has that issue? And so that might be another spot. Some it was, I was trying to make a good library, and so on the
Like
first
that.
floor plan,
The built-in millwork or something underneath the sill.
we've got bookshelves, but I think that's pretty important. We could also potentially do the small windows on the side. And the large windows facing front and back,
Yeah,
or they could just all be double hung instead of.
I think that's a good idea. I mean, although I think. Also, I mean, the storage considerations. Like if you're tight, I mean, if it's kind of small space, like if you're tight for built-in millwork or something and you need that wall height. I think either way, the head height should align. It's kind of hard to tell if it does.
It should allow me to certainly. They might not, because I did a specialty window,
Okay, yeah.
but they will, I'll note along. So the same thing on the backside.
I agree, George, with the double hung window good look.
Yeah,
Especially
it looks
since you
really
have the
nice.
double hung window above, it looks kind of
Yeah,
heavy.
yeah.
And one other simple thing, and, I don't have the plans in front of me, but those two windows, the small one and the double hung above, can they be centered in that space? Can they both be moved over to the left? And center on that elevation?
From the look at this, it doesn't look like they couldn't.
That's right, both spaces on both floors. They could.
And it would look nice on the outside on that elevation,
Yeah, it would just hit that.
balance that whole up, because everything else is beautiful.
Okay, that's why I was looking forward to tonight.
I just want to say that the design is really great, and you mentioned,
Yeah.
you mentioned earlier, this
No,
aesthetic
you-
whole. you mentioned the term aesthetic hole, I'm talking about the extension on the back end. I just, you know, that's obviously very important, and I just wish, you know, maybe with the previous project, there was some consideration to that kind of.
Yeah.
You know,
Lighting windows.
yeah, I mean, not trying to like, you know, make all these little jigs and jogs to kind of, you know. I don't want to take any shots, but this is just a great project, and even just having these detail level conversations, we could do that because the design is so thought out and developed.
Yes.
You know, so it's
Yeah.
like, just to work out this whole thing, it's a relief after the last project, honestly.
Thanks. There's some neat details inside too, but they're not really
Yeah.
directly. relevant.
One other thing on that elevation is those gable windows, which my office is right down the road and I have the same window.
Mhm.
They're double hung.
They are, the original ones.
The original
are-
ones are double hung. So it gives you that center bar across,
So,
but you could go to my office and
but
look
it's
at it.
not a 2/2. It's a
Oh,
one.
I think it's a 1/1, but it opens. Double hung.
Got it.
Something.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, sure.
We put one at the back. I guess we should do the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the library windows that face to the side?
Could we look at the other elevation here? That actually tweaks that elevation, everyone else agrees. That elevation is beautiful. That looks one over the two equally balanced.
Mhm. There's that same,
Is that same little window, right? And then if we can move those over, both of them over to the right and center them in that part of the building.
yeah,
Yes, I got that.
Yeah.
Center windows I have double windows. Yeah, what about there on that side elevation? So those are double hungs in the library. And should they all be double hungs because the awning windows just look poor?
Which one are we talking about?
On the left.
north elevation.
That left in the north elevation, that's also the library, like the awning window in the north elevation. Cause I was doing, you know, 2 double hungs and 2 awnings to try to make some room for books in the library, otherwise it's all windows.
Yeah.
But I think the awning windows just don't look good. Is that the
I
consensus?
think it looks
just
good.
Nice thought,
Double
but
hung.
library will look better with the fewer books. Okay. Good.
I almost feel like if the imperative is to preserve that wall space, that, something that high rather than that high would look better. Just like a little clearer story kind of.
Right, or particularly narrow windows,
Or-
or, you know, or other than the attic. Yeah, probably just do the same ones.
I think they can look around.
Yeah. That's right, I mean,
Because the sill height would be, I guess, the same as those double hung windows, right, with 3'4" and change or something? If we go with if we make that awning window, a double hung window would be the same sill height
yeah,
as
they're
this.
matching heads, right, the 6'10" on all, they all have a 6'10" head, and some of those are new, yeah, some of those are new, like openings.
I mean, I can see it both ways. I mean, I think from the outside, the double hungs would look more balanced, but, you know, I mean, there are obviously interior considerations when we're designing, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think if you are going to do an awning window, having an awning window that matches like the top sash of a double hung window would be the way to do it, which it looks like that's how you sized it. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could see, I guess, you know, double hung will probably look better from the outside, but the awning doesn't bother me if, you know, if you're really tight on space inside for books.
Right.
Okay.
But yeah, again, like I think that the awning window that you chose, correct me if I'm wrong, it looks like you sized it, so it's like the top, like, you know, the top sash of the double hung, like more or less matches like the divided light size and the overall size, is that correct? The awning window, it looks like it's like the same size as like the half of the
It's
double hung.
almost, that's 2
Yeah.
foot and they're 3'6", so, you know, 4-foot window would be a match with the 2-foot awning.
Yeah. I mean, either way, I mean, I think it looks, as it is, looks fine, but double hung will probably look better, but. You know, if there's an argument to be made that there's not a lot of storage for books, I feel like that's fine.
I mean, bear in mind that it would lose you about 3 to 4 feet of shelf space.
Yeah, that's true, that doesn't seem like a whole
It's
lot.
not a lot.
Yeah.
That's true.
Right.
And given solar, you could still have.
I mean,
Done,
because you
thank
have a
you.
window anyway.
And you could just put bookshelves on each side.
That's right, yeah,
Yeah.
now the center, yeah, it would be nice.
Yeah.
Looks great, the buildings. I have one last comment,
Good.
and I don't know if it's possible, but those 2 lower windows. You have one over one window, can the other one be moved over to match the window above? And then those,
I was looking at that right now, walk back and do it.
and you'll see 2 and 2 wall balance,
Well, there's interior stuff going on.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's like the window at the sink and then,
And then there's the ADA
I see.
bathroom.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
that may just have to,
That was my best accommodation.
No. That's, I see why you did that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But right now it looks worse. If you look at the existing turnout, it's, right, the face is still is.
Everything else looks great, that, everything looks great. A couple of tweaks, and it'll be really nice.
Yeah.
you know, a trellis right there, just make that all go away. I think a trellis under that upper
Yes,
window, and then it just kind of makes sense.
Oh. You mean like grow clematis on it or something?
Exactly, just something to make that asymmetry disappear. There is a basement window there.
But wouldn't it be rectangular? Like, or did you say more
You know,
freeform or?
I think it could be
Maybe.
freeform, there's a nice style where it sort of fans upward.
Right, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. But
Just an element more than a specific thing.
yeah, I just think some vegetation makes that.
yeah, that'll take care of that, that's good, yeah.
Yeah, but something like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
Something.
yeah. Is that basement window a fixed feature? Because it's already there.
They are already there.
Okay.
The basement.
It's not a big deal.
I think, yeah, the only one I'm getting rid of is at the ramp, and that one is that water coming in at it, because it's like below grade.
Just get rid of it.
But the other ones are there, and I think there's a tree stump in front of one of them, but, you know, and then, yeah, I guess one of them, one's underneath the deck. Behind the staircase.
That sounds good.
Yeah, there'll be 3 windows into the basement. Which is carved out, it's like a rock
Yeah.
down there.
It's what a lot of Village of New Paltz is, I can guarantee it. They did not dig basements any deeper than they had to. I mean, I have to stoop in honest. Dave, this is a really good design. We're quite happy to see it, and if we've been any help, I would be happy to hear that feel we were.
Yes. I'm taking notes, marked up on plan. I'll make the changes.
Okay, and I'll write up something that goes to you and goes to the planning board. So are you scheduled to see that next week?
I think that's correct. Yeah, next
I
week.
think it's next week.
It's.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think that's.
So, yes, it is, the same said that. So I'll make sure that you've got it by the weekend.
Great, you mean comments from this?
Yeah, I'll
And
just
we'll
go summarize the
touch
conversation.
informally
Exactly,
about serious details
yeah.
and such. Okay, good, yeah, and I'll make these edits. and-
Site visits, I feel like there's
Upload
time
them.
here, because there's a really timetable.
Right. Yeah, and I have to finish the construction documents, I can't do it until that happens, so.
Yeah,
Great, well, thank you very much.
thank you.
Dave, thank you, it was great, really,
Thank you.
What you're doing for the.
glad you're on this, it was beautiful.
Yeah, it's been a fun project, and the design, it really came together, it was very efficient, you know?
Yeah.
And it was only, I think, a second round and done,
That's right.
get my friend to help with the, David Murray did the Rather,
Nice. And we can keep thinking, I mean, that is a challenge, but there's a way to do that.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is. Great. Dave, thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Have a
Have
good
a good
evening.
evening.
Thanks for
Thank
your
you.
time. Right. I think, John, are you hearing us?
I am hearing you.
Right, John, I'm somewhat accustomed to looking at we skipped over you because I was assuming you'd be here in person, and I'm just not accustomed to looking at the Zoom. I really apologize. I hope you were able to do something for the last half hour.
Yeah, I was hoping to make the meeting today too, but a small emergency had to be dealt with, and so now I'm upset with myself. But I mean, I know I'm late to the meeting, but if there's any questions I can answer, I'll answer them.
Oh, sure. Well, I'm sorry to hear about the emergency, and really, you're not late. I saw at a certain point during this last session, I saw that you were on the call, but we were already into the next item.
No, I understand. I understand completely.
Okay, well, thanks. So everybody, I would characterize this as kind of part two of what the Reformed Church is doing. They're trying to be more energy efficient, which of course we want to support. We've had a successful first round with the church itself. And we do, if needed, have some photos of what that project looked like. This looks even more straightforward because the units would be much less visible, I mean, barely visible from Huguenot Street. So I have, John, just a couple of questions. One is, have you gotten far enough to know exactly where on that wall they intended to put the units?
Glenn Phillips, who's also my partner on the property committee, met with Hot Water Systems, who's the same company who worked on the church itself. And my understanding is what they're going to be putting them right underneath the meters for the solar panel boxes on that
Okay,
outside the playground. You know, it's on the other
Okay.
side of the fence of the playground. So it won't be in the playground.
okay, got it. Oh, so they're intended to go on the east side of the building? On the
I
playground?
would say the north side.
Okay, that's what I assumed. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some other electrical things on that side. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Okay. so
Underneath
just-
there is what I'm told they're going.
Okay. Okay, that's great. That's really a very good part.
And I did speak to one of the neighbors at 102, and his quote was, "I have no opinion on the work." So, and my buddy Glenn Phillips, who's also on the property committee, he walks dogs with the person who lives at 112. Their dogs play, blah blah blah, and you know, not that it's worth much of what I'm saying, but he didn't seem to have a problem with it. So
Okay.
I gave it my best effort for both of them, and you know, I didn't take it seriously enough their opinions that were going to be weighed here, and that's my fault for being lax.
Well, it's not a matter of, I know you're a volunteer for the committee. I mean, what you're proposing is exactly what we encourage people to do. We've actually got a document, you know, keeping people away from placements that are really highly visible, and this is about as hidden as could possibly be. And the only thing I was raising is, you know, neighbors do have a right to weigh in. If you feel like both the neighbors at 102 and 112 have done that and have no objections, then I think we can decide tonight. And if you feel like there's any ambiguity, we can do something conditional and just hear back from you that that's the case.
Yeah, well, I'm open to that because I moved back. They wanted to install these units, I think, I forget the date, the 17th of June, and I pushed it back because I wasn't sure when I was going to have an approval.
Okay,
So I don't have a gun to my head as I did when I first applied.
okay, that's good news.
How are you, John?
Hello?
Yeah, this is George. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Are there 2 units?
I believe they're going to be 4 units for the hot water systems. And
Four
I
units.
mean, like they're going to be mounting them on the side there, going up and going underneath there's a Boy Scout room upstairs and a youth lounge room, and they're going to be traveling those. I call them like what do you like gutter tracks that they put them in? I don't know.
Line heights.
Yeah, they're going to be bringing them up along the cedar part of the roof on the playground side to keep them away from the kids.
Okay,
Great.
that's good, that's good. They can also be painted, a lot of people don't know this, but if you wanted to, if it's gonna be tight against that cedar, you can paint it something to match.
I think that would be wise as well.
Yeah.
And
I
I
think
was
that's-
just and I was just in this area today, and it's so overgrown, the trees between the education building and the neighbors at 102 and 112. You almost can't even see the building right now. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, that's right.
I mean all those trees that you see over that fuel tank are their trees. We trim them back all the time, but they keep coming back.
Yeah.
You can't stop it.
Trees will do that. Yeah, if you were tramping around back there, I hope you noticed it's just a forest of poison ivy back there, so.
Yeah, no, it's
Give fair warning to the installers.
yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately the church, membership is down a little bit and volunteerism is down.
Hmm.
So, a lot of the weight of these little things get dumped upon a small group of people. And I'm almost 61 and I'm the young member of this committee.
I get it. I get it. Everybody, this seems really simple to me.
Straightforward.
And I think the only thing that I might counsel is that we offer contingent approval, just waiting to hear back that the church is assured that the neighbors don't have an issue. I just don't want to create strife between you and them or them and us. And if they have any objections, then I think we better slow it down and have a meeting in July. If that's the worst I can see, it strikes me as really well thought out and energy efficient and necessary.
Well, I mean, would this be appropriate? I guess what we're trying to do is not upset the neighbors. I understand that. But if I got a letter, we're looking for something in writing, I presume is what you're looking for.
Yeah, but I don't think you have to ask them to do that. I mean, I don't even think it has to be notarized or anything, but basically something that would have the effect of an affidavit that you spoke to them and they had no objections, which I guess you already have from 102, right?
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, I think it was more of a, he didn't, he had no comment. As in he didn't care. It's like, I don't know if that's what you're looking for, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to put words in his mouth.
Then I think the prudent thing is just to ask them, directly that we're going to put in 4 units. They're going to be located here. Do you have any objections? And I can't think that there would be. But if there are, we should probably hear them out.
Well, I think probably the best way to do that is our interim minister, Aaron, walks his dog by their house probably 3 times a day. So I'll probably put this on his radar just to get, I would love to get this done sooner than later because then I have to go to the building department, get approval from them. And I'm sure that's going to drag on a little bit. And, I have a commitment in July. I don't have the date handy of when they want to install it. I know your next meeting is going to probably be after the date they want to install.
Okay, yeah, we're the 14th, if that's any help.
So, but I mean, this is nothing that could be done through an email and you guys only approve things at meetings?
No, email's fine. Honestly,
Perfect.
we just, in a perfect world, I guess in an absolutely by the book world, we would hold a public hearing, but this is the kind of project that just seems like a lot of work and a lot of mailing for very little return, but at the same point, you know, neighbors who could potentially be affected should have a chance. Your plan sounds great to have the interim minister ask them directly on a dog walk.
Yeah,
And then just if Aaron or you could email us, then
I
we're
will,
done.
I will send an email out tonight and hopefully have an answer by, you know, this, it's only Monday, so hopefully you'll have it, you know, before the end of the week.
But can we vote on it, conditioned on the
Yeah.
email?
That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah,
Condition on approval. Okay, so you want to move that, George?
yeah, I make a motion that we vote to approve the units on the 4 units on the side of the building. Condition on email from the 2 neighbors,
Oh, or even from the minister.
from the minister.
Yeah, just the testing.
Correct.
Can't trust the minister's word.
No, that's.
Hey, what about me? Hey,
Well, I trust your word. You know, an email from the organization.
thank you very
any
much.
second?
I'll second
Okay,
that.
so second and all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, that seems really, it does seem straightforward in every way, but you know, let's just be good to neighbors.
Excellent.
That sounds great, John. If you want to copy me on that email, or you can just provide our email address, just to simplify things so that they know who to write to.
You got it. I'll make sure that happens this week.
Sounds great.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thanks.
John, have a good night.
You too, guys. Thank you, George.
Okay, bye.
Good night.
Okay, thanks, everybody. Let's rip through the last couple of things here tonight. Art show recap. No, any recaps?
But I think at the beginning of the meeting, we already established that it was a very successful event. Despite the rain, lots of people showed up at the reception. And we had a record number of People's Choice Award winners as well. 5.
Highway high.
Yes, that's never happened before. And everybody had a great time, I think, all the attendees, so,
It really means a lot to the
yeah.
community and the artists in the community. So next year, when we get a date, let's make sure to lock it in, protect that Saturday, be great. You know, I did thank everybody sort of in absentia, but it'd be great next year to thank you in person from this audience. The other thing that was nice is to use that, we used that event to thank Valerie publicly. The beautiful painting that Camilla made was presented to her, and I think was really appreciated. It's a beautiful painting. I think she was moved by the effort to do that. So, yeah.
I had a great time painting it. It was very personal for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you, Camilla. It's really, when I've said this many times in many places, it's your creation. It's a wonderful thing. Very quickly, June 17th, town HPC meeting. On the 17th, I agreed to go to the town HPC meeting to kick around ideas for eventual consolidation if that happens. Like what would we want to do? So it's really early days. If you have any thoughts right now on that, let me know and I'll carry them to the meeting. If you have any thoughts in the next week or so, let me know and I'll represent them at the meeting. I think probably one possible outcome, I mean, assuming that there's consolidation, then there would be one board for HPC, and then we could think about making DRB maybe a separate board, or maybe some structure where people who wanted to do both could do both. I don't know. But that's sort of what the point of the meeting is, just to kick those ideas around. Yeah. Does anybody have anything I should know tonight? Or otherwise, you know, email me or text me with ideas. Okay. upcoming webinars. So there's the one in August, which is not something I can do, but, those short courses could be good. The one on June 26th at 1 o'clock is just a 1 hour webinar. It looked like a really good one for us. It's about establishing, but also updating, downtown historic districts in general. And one of the cards that I really would like to play is to get our downtown landmarked. I just think that, you know, I want that to happen. So if you can get that in your calendars, it's free. All you have to do is register. Shane, do you need the credits? Is it AI need credits?
Maybe actually, yeah.
Yeah, they were offering like,
Oh, okay,
so I think it was 1 or 1.5 credits. Is that?
yeah,
I was thinking that.
that would go to use.
Okay, I'll take a close look at it.
Okay,
I think it'd be a really nice thing to attend, and I'm blocking out the time to do that.
Yeah.
And then maybe least important of all that is we are supposed to report trainings up to Albany. So, you know, the more of us who do it, the better that quote can be. Which I guess is also a reminder about the sexual harassment and violence in the workplace. Trainings still have to be done if you haven't. I did them. You've done mine, I did mine. You know, they are what they are.
You know, I've done two, but I think I gave them to Val.
Okay.
I would like to find out if, I would possibly I did them.
Yeah, I think you did. I remember
Yeah.
do you think it
Two of
was
them I
in this year or?
No, I did it last, when I first,
First, you gotta do
I know.
it.
you gotta do it every year?
oh,
Okay.
Just,
Yeah,
you know,
they went the first time.
okay. We're good. Let's see, draft code revision, so there's no progress on that because we're still dealing with the DRB version. Budget update, we don't actually have numbers, but it doesn't matter, we just started the budget 9 days ago, so we're at 100%. Other business, I don't think I have any other business. Oh yeah, maybe just Shane to say to the other members how much I appreciated your letter of support for the mayor, which had
Oh,
this
yeah.
nice anecdote about how you kind of came to presentation.
that's right, that's right.
You're still in high school when that happened?
I think I just graduated from high school.
That's impressive,
Yeah,
but it's on your radar now.
oh, yeah, well, yeah, well, that house has been preserved by the family.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, so,
so there's more to that story, but he's someone who cares about historic preservation.
do you think the new owner bought it with that
Yeah, they did, yeah.
block?
Yeah, well, he paid a premium because it was like a beautiful Stanford White House. And yeah, so he was passionate about renovating it, so there's a happy ending to that story.
I'm glad there is, because otherwise it's really unhappy.
Yeah,
But that was just nice to see that in print. Local law draft, I sent out the draft that is now with the planning board. Did anybody see anything that looked off? It's been through several iterations.
no, I mean, I'm not an expert in legalese, but I read through it and it all sounded good to me. There's no glaring contradictions or anything, that's kind of what I was looking for.
Yeah, there was a little bit of a weirdness about who judges appeals. Like if somebody appeals one of our decisions, if it's a hardship appeal, it goes to one place, and if it's a procedural appeal, it goes to another. But I assume I questioned it, but I think there's a legal reason that that's what happens. Did you see anything?
Maybe earlier we had some concerns about, the part that says that the members of the HPC and the DRB has to be the same. I don't know if that's something
So
to be concerned about.
it is to be concerned about. There's a little bit of a history to that. So I raised that in a really early meeting with Mike. And we just agreed that if there's consolidation, there's going to be this massive rewriting of all the code. And at that point, we would open it up. But he persuaded me that the best thing to do is describe what we're doing now.
Yeah,
And then it can be this great, so. Okay, so that's, and then the last thing is the submission form. Looks to be in pretty good shape, I think. We've already, oh no, I'm sorry, it was Mike who weighed in on this and Valerie did. But it's, this is to get people who are asking for DRB review, not to use the HPC form, because it's not really appropriate. So this was designed to streamline it. If they've already got a planning board application, we can look at those drawings, save them the trouble. And there are a couple of ways that they can skip questions if it's like for like. I think it works. What I would suggest is maybe we try it out for a couple of applicants and then revise it. If it's not working. So if anybody has any suggestions, let me know. Otherwise, let's start using it. Everybody, that's the agenda. Thank you so much. I'm glad we didn't have North Chestnut to think about.
Yeah.
How about a motion to adjourn?
We'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion,
I'll second.
second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, did you get that?
Mhm.
Okay. Sarah, can you turn off the mic?
No.
Whenever